Tonight on the Mike Tomlin Show, the Steelers will have to wait until Sunday night to find out who they are hosting on Wild Card Weekend at Heinz Field. Coach Tomlin joins Bob Pompeani to look back at the 28-24 win over the Colts that gave Pittsburgh the AFC North title. Plus, White Coach is resting Ben Roethlisberger in Cleveland tomorrow and giving Mason Rudolph the start in the regular season finale. And I go one-on-one with TJ Watt, who is putting up Defensive Player of the Year numbers. All of that and much more as the Mike Tomlin Show starts right now.
Here we go. This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is.
This one is in the history books.
Here we go.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber.
Hi everybody, I'm Missi Matthews and welcome to the Mike Tomlin Show presented by 84 Lumber. The Steelers are the 2020 AFC North champs and know that a wild card game here at Heinz Field is in their future. It was all thanks to a comeback win against the Colts, and the worst they can finish now in the AFC is as the 3 seed. Let's say good evening to Bob Pompeani and Coach Tomlin to talk about that comeback win from a 17-point deficit this past Sunday. Guys?
All right, Missy, thanks very much. We're going to get into what the Steelers may do looking at the Cleveland game coming up in a second. But first, Coach Mike Tomlin is here, and Coach, AFC North champs. Words that never get old, I imagine.
No, man, in this Game of Thrones, man, we desire to be kings of the North, and we get to say that for 2020, and that's not something that we take lightly. We pride ourselves in division dominance. We respect the competition that's in this division, and so that's something for our men to be proud of.
Let's talk about that game against the Colts. Really a tale of two halves. What changed at halftime that allowed you to come back from one of the biggest deficits you as a head coach have faced in your tenure?
Really, it was twofold. We started connecting on some down-the-field opportunities, and we started taking more down-the-field opportunities, and those things produced chunks and touchdowns and field position things on the offensive side. And on the defensive side, I really think we got comfortable with competing against Phillip in that unique pandemic environment. It's one thing to compete against Phillip Rivers, but it's another thing to compete against him in a home environment where he gets an opportunity to communicate, where he can hear you communicate. There were some challenges competing against a guy like Phillip Rivers in that environment, and it took us some time to get adjusted in terms of negating some of that.
Big narrative this year has been Ben Roethlisberger and the pass game not going down the field an awful lot. In the second half, we saw a lot of that. So I'm sure there are a lot of contributing factors. Was it better pass protection, staying in the pocket more, confidence, an ability for wide receivers just to make plays? Of those 4 scenarios, was it all of it? Was it a little bit of it? What was it?
It's always a combination of multiple variables, and it's usually the adjustments or the alteration of behavior is minute. You know, there's a little bit better accuracy, there's a little bit more separation. We call some better concepts. All of those things are components of the final outcome, and thus we're all responsible. The quarterback's responsible, the receiver is responsible, backs and tight ends and offensive linemen and coaching staff in terms of constructing concepts that make those things happen.
2 of the best throws of the year, I thought, were on display in that game. The one to Deontay Johnson, it was a quick strike. It was a good play call at the time, given what your defense had just done. And then the one to Juju Smith-Schuster. How encouraging is that to see from Ben Roethlisberger, given all the debate about, you know, arm strength, knee, whatever the case may be? He looked fine in those 2 things.
Hey, Bob, let's be clear. I'm a non-participant in the debate discussions, but I did appreciate the throws, man. One on the line to Deontay, big time, and the other one, he dropped it in there over a secondary defender while throwing it away from the backside safety. 2 big-time plays.
Now, you got great contributions, too, from your defense, specifically, you know, turnovers, which, you know, in the previous week were not there. And each one of them resulted in points. You know, right at the beginning of the game when you got TJ Watt and Mike Hilton combining, it led to points. And then some of those sacks that denied maybe Indianapolis points, and your offense took advantage of it. I guess that's really great to see as a head coach, one unit helping the other.
No question. You know, turnovers are about opportunities, and that's why it's important, you know, that we start faster than we've been starting offensively. They were able to play keep away a week or so ago. If you noticed in this game, We got a turnover at the early portions of the game, and then we got another turnover later in the game once it got extremely competitive again. And that's what usually happens. When you get offenses in pressure circumstances and you apply pressure, that increases your opportunity for turnovers. So for us, it's about getting them in those circumstances, and that's a team job.
Vince Williams had missed a couple of games with the COVID, yet he came back, and when I checked, it was 100% of the snaps. That was an amazing effort considering where he was 2 weeks before.
It was important for us to play Vince and to play Vince every snap, to be quite honest with you. We needed somebody in the middle of our defense at the linebacker level to be a hub of communication, to match wits, if you will, with Phillip Rivers, given the amount of latitude that he has at the line of scrimmage. Avery Williamson has done an awesome job for us, but he hasn't been here long enough to absorb that responsibility. Some of the other guys, transitional guys, hadn't been in their roles long enough. It was a big job for Vince to play and to play every snap, not only because of his playing capabilities, but that experience, those communication skills that would allow us to get in and out of defenses appropriately.
So the Steelers check the first box. That's an AFC North championship, the 7th under Mike Tomlin. Coach, when we come back, we'll talk about the Cleveland Browns and your preparation of that game this Sunday in Cleveland. Right now, let's send it back over to Missi Matthews.
Okay, thanks so much, Bob. The Cleveland Browns have lost 12 straight games to the Steelers in the final game of the regular season. So will that change tomorrow with no Ben Roethlisberger? Coming up later in the show, TJ Watt discusses what he learned from his first playoff experience from his rookie year in 2017. The Mike Tomlin Show continues. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Mike Tomlin Show, everybody. The Steelers' comeback win last Sunday against the Colts meant it was time for hats and T-shirts, as Coach Tomlin likes to say. Here's part of our best sights and sounds from the Steelers' comeback win to clinch the AFC North title.
With the first choice in the 2004 NFL Draft, the San Diego Chargers select Eli Manning, quarterback, Mississippi.
The 2004 draft has been widely regarded as one of the best classes for signal callers in NFL history. Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and Ben Roethlisberger all taken in the first 11 picks of the draft. Fast forward 16 years, over 180,000 passing yards, and 1,178 touchdowns, and only 2 of the quarterbacks remain, Rivers and Roethlisberger. The Week 16 matchup between the Steelers and Colts is more than just a battle of 2004 quarterbacks. It's a chance for the Steelers to snap their 3-game losing streak and capture the AFC North crown.
Gets the snap. He's back on 2nd and 4. Pocket collapses and down he goes, and TJ Watt gets him low. Watt leading the NFL in sacks.
The early sack by TJ Watt didn't rattle Phillip Rivers and company.
The pass is caught, and that's going to be a first down and more. The Steelers miss a couple of tackles. The pass is caught. That's a first down to the 20 to Zach Pascal.
Colts put together a 9-play opening drive, culminating with a Jonathan Taylor touchdown.
And stepping in is Jonathan Taylor with that 6-yard touchdown run. Rivers being chased. He's hit. The ball came out, and it's picked up by the Steelers. It is Mike Hilton inside the 10 down to the 5, and he's got it at the 3-yard line. TJ Watt with a strip. Mike Hilton with a scoop. And the Steelers are in business, 1st and goal at the Colts 3-yard line. Connor gets the call. Connor leads, gets into the end zone for the Pittsburgh Steelers touchdown. Connor plows it in, and the Steelers are in position to tie it up.
Connor plunging over the goal line, even the score at 7, but the Colts would take ownership of the rest of the second quarter.
And the Steelers are there, but knifing in is Jonathan Taylor for the touchdown. The first man couldn't keep him out and got the 1-yarder for the touchdown. And Rivers steps out of the way, throws it long down the field. There's a man open, and that's going to be a touchdown for Indianapolis of 42 yards to Zach Pascal.
And that is tough because the Colts, they smelled blood in the water. They went for the dagger, and that was it right there.
This is a tall task for Pittsburgh to come back in the second half. They can do it, but it's going to be tough.
And a first down inside the 25 is Jonathan Taylor to the 14-yard line. Rivers wants to throw it. He's hit, and he's sacked by Stephon Tuitt back at the 15-yard line. The Steelers finally get to Phillip Rivers.
Tuitt's sack held the Colts to a field goal, giving Roethlisberger and the offense a chance to tighten the score.
Fires it down the field. Claypool at the 25, the 20, the 15, and down at about the 13-yard line.
Steelers are going for it here, Billy.
You almost have to when you're down 17. 4th and goal from outside the 1. Throws the pass, and that's broken up at the goal line.
The Steelers' defense needed to keep the Colts backed up if they had any shot of staying in the game.
Now they go with the screen to the left and getting the tackle at the 8-yard line.
With the ball back in his hands, Roethlisberger wouldn't waste another shot at the end zone.
He wants to throw it deep, and he throws it down the right sideline. Deontay Johnson diving for the end zone, and he caught it for the touchdown. A 39-yard strike bend to Deontay Johnson. He had a step on Rock Yassin and then dove and caught the ball.
That is the shot play that you needed right there.
He goes left, and that is Eric Ebron down to the goal line and in for the touchdown. 5-yard strike. Ben Roethlisberger to Eric Ebron, and the Steelers are making it interesting early 4th quarter. Lou 80. He pumps, throws it down the middle of the field. That's Juju Smith-Schuster pulling it in for the Steelers. Go-ahead touchdown. From 25 out, Ben threw a strike, and Juju took care of the rest.
Ben pumps fakes, able to deliver a dime to Juju Smith-Schuster.
25-yard strike, Ben's 3rd touchdown thrown of the second half. And the Steelers have come back from a huge 24-7 deficit to go ahead. 4th down and 8 at the 33. Steps up, throws a pass down the field, incomplete. Ball over on downs. The Steelers are AFC North champs once again.
Still to come on the Mike Tomlin Show, Coach Tomlin gives us his reason on the decision to rest Ben Roethlisberger and start Mason Rudolph tomorrow in Cleveland. Plus, I go one-on-one with TJ Watt, who is leading the league in sacks, tackles for loss, and quarterback hits. Hear from Watt and much more right after the break.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber. Are you 84 Lumber material? Visit 84lumber.com/careers to learn more.
Welcome back. The last time the Steelers were in the playoffs was 2017. That was the rookie year for TJ Watt, Juju Smith-Schuster, James Conner, and Cam Sutton. A lot has changed since then, and TJ Watt has continued to impress and improve every year. Here's part of my one-on-one with Watt. Was that Colts game Alex Highsmith's best game since Bud went down?
I think so. That's the great thing about Alex and being a rookie is you grow so much from game to game, and you have a guy like Alex who works so hard at practice and studying film and asking the right questions. Is you're going to continue to see that growth as he continues to the game slows down for him, and I'm very excited to see how he progresses as he gets older.
What did you think of his spin move at the end of the game?
That was a great spin move. I got to ask him how I can do that. I'm not as nimble as he is, but he's got some great moves in his repertoire, and he'll be a great player for us moving forward.
You said that communication, something that just became second nature for you and Bud, is something you have to work on with Alex. Is that something that game reps help with, or is there another way you can do that to help improve?
Yeah, it's a lot tougher as the season kind of winds down because you don't get a lot of the practice reps that you normally do. And obviously in training camp, you're out there every single day going through battlefield reps and being able to talk through the communication things. But it's more and more just getting reps late in the season, doing it in a film room setting, trying to do it in an informal setting where me and him are just kind of communicating with each other. And then obviously as we continue to play more on Sundays, it also helps.
A few weeks ago after Bud got hurt, Coach Tomlin on his radio pregame show was asked about you in the locker room, and he said that you have an older demeanor even though you're a young guy. And one of the quotes he said was, people seek his approval, they like to make him laugh, they like to include him in on the reindeer games whether he wants to or not. He reminds me a lot of James Ferrier. Is that true?
I just like to come to work and try to be about my business, and a lot of times the guys try to make me lighten up, and I probably need it more often than not. I try to take this very seriously just because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be where I am, to be able to play this game. for a living, and sometimes I do have to stop and smell the roses and just kind of enjoy it and spend quality time with these guys, because everybody here is so awesome. They love football, but they truly love spending time with each other, and it only makes us a better unit on the field.
And of course, next up for Watt and Company is Baker Mayfield and the 10-5 Browns. And Cleveland is in a do-or-die situation. They need to beat the Steelers tomorrow in order to safely secure their first playoff appearance since 2002. Let's head back over to Bob and Coach for more on tomorrow's regular season finale.
Okay, Missy, thanks. It's a kitchen game, as Mike Tomlin likes to call it. I'm not sure how hot it's going to be based on your situation, Coach. You already clinched. You're in the playoffs. Cleveland has to win to get in, most likely. And I'm just curious about how you address a game like this. It's a nice situation to have. You guys have not had a true bye week. Do you rest players? You still have a 2 seed available. Which is your priority as you look at this game?
You know, we're not afforded an opportunity at the bye. We made that bid, so we're going to lay in it, and we accept the responsibility of that. But we are given an opportunity to rest Ben, and we will. We're going to play the young quarterbacks in this game. We may have an opportunity to airmail a few other significant players to the postseason, is a phrase that I like to use. But that'll be determined by the number of injured players that we have and the player availability. So the only thing that I'm willing to acknowledge at this point is that Ben won't be playing this week, that we're going to transition toward the young cubes and give Mason the start and airmail Ben to the postseason.
Aside from Ben Roethlisberger, Coach, any other players you may not play in this game?
You know, really, who else we get an opportunity, or if we get an opportunity to rest anyone else in terms of making them inactive, will be determined. We've had a number of injured players that have filled out that inactive list in recent weeks, guys like Ola and Marcus Allen and Boz and others. And so, you know, it is important that those guys are available to us before we ponder the possibilities of resting others.
Coach, in a normal year, a 2 seed would carry with it a bye week, home field. You still get home field. How important is it to get a 2 seed under this situation with an extra playoff team? A lot of people will say, well, it's worth playing for because you get a second home game if you win the first. Large picture here, how important is that this year?
For us, it was about a bye or no bye, particularly because the nature of the environments that we're playing in being less than capacity. I mean, that was a big-time football game we were in versus the Colts last weekend, but it was in front of 0 people. Oftentimes, I would imagine what type of an atmosphere that would have been had we had Steeler Nation in that stadium. What would have been the response when Mike Hilton picked that ball up early in that game and was running toward the end zone and things of that nature? Those are just the realities of football in 2020. And so we accept those, and that's why the most important variable is bye or no bye, and the other things are secondary.
With regard to the Cleveland Browns, again, a very important game for them, but I know how you love this AFC North competition. How much satisfaction would you get knocking Cleveland out of the playoffs?
You know, every time we step into a stadium, our agenda is to win. Football is our game, our business is winning, and regardless of who's suited for us or what the circumstances are, that agenda never changes. So make no mistake about our intentions as we go into that stadium. We're not seeking comfort or grading ourselves on a curve in any way. We're preparing and then ultimately playing in Cleveland to win.
And you have a team that has a very good run game, and they've been doing that all season long. Looking at that game, that's going to be the number one test, I would imagine, in this one. And you may see this team again in the very first week of the playoffs.
You know, we hadn't worried too much about some of those scenarios. We like to live one step at a time, particularly because we're so familiar with so many people in the field. You know, we've been in the stadium with just about everybody that we could potentially see in round one, minus the Dolphins. We played those guys a year ago. So there's some familiarity there. We have our attention focused squarely on the Cleveland Browns, and appropriately so for those reasons.
Final word from Mike Tomlin coming up shortly. Right now, let's send it back to Missi Matthews.
Okay, thanks so much, Bob. The Steelers and Browns are just one of 3 games in Week 17 that could potentially be played once again in Wild Card Weekend. The Mike Tomlin Show will be right back.
The Mike Tomlin Show is presented by 84 Lumber.
I kind of miss the face-to-face interaction with you guys at times. It's nice to actually have some dialogue and conversation, see your guys' reactions to some of my crazy answers. To not have that this year has been different, but thank you so much for this award. It means a lot.
Congrats to Ben on receiving the Chief Award for his cooperation with the media in what has been a crazy season and featuring all Zoom calls. Also, congratulations to wide receiver Chase Claypool, who was given the Joe Green Great Performance Award given annually to the team's top rookie. For more on Ben and Chase, let's check in one final time with Bob and Coach. Guys.
All right, Missy, as we wrap it up, let's talk about some individual honors, and they're big for this team. You have the Joe Green Great Performance Award winner. Start there, Coach, with Chase Claypool. Could you have expected as much that you got out of this guy in his first year in the league?
Quite frankly, we did. We needed it. We not only needed his production as an offensive player, but we also needed his contributions and his attention to detail and energy that he brought to special teams. At one point in the season, he and I had conversations about challenging him to score 10 touchdowns and have 10 special teams tackles. The 10 touchdowns proved to be easier than the 10 special teams tackles, but his contributions and efforts in both places are appreciated nonetheless.
And Ben Roethlisberger, the savvy old veteran, now wins the Chief Award, cooperation with the media. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that he's now 38, more mature, and understands that situation.
And it comes with the position that he holds. I mean, being a quarterback and the responsibility that comes with the quarterback, we talk often about, particularly in terms of how games unfold and so forth. But there's added responsibility in terms of media relations and reflecting the thoughts and feelings of his teammates and so forth. And he does a heck of a job of those things.
All right, Mike, appreciate the time as always. Good luck in Cleveland and good luck in the postseason. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it.
All right, that's head coach Mike Tomlin getting set for the Cleveland Browns coming at you. It'll be on KDK TV. Our pregame coverage begins at 11:30 a.m. Postgame to follow on Pittsburgh CW, and that's going to wrap it up. For head coach Mike Tomlin and Missi Matthews, I'm Bob Pompeani. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you again next Saturday night.